Bienvenidos a un nuevo juego de la plataforma de ordenador Stanley Parable. Comenzamos. Haré vídeo de más o menos uno a las 2 semanas o algo así. Más o menos. Intentaré hacer bueno, del principio hasta el final. Es decir, del principio, la historia hasta el principio. Edita un poco el juego para que salga lo que dice. En los siguientes vídeos no voy a poner la intro esta, la que veis ahora. Si no conocéis el juego es este señor que se llama Stanley, que vive una... no estoy muy seguro, una aventura creo. Que tienen que llegar hasta... bueno, no tienen que llegar a ningún sitio. Tiene que investigar. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, vale, ya me puedo mover. He got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. Cada vez es más distinto. He jugado como 3 veces y una más, es decir, 4. Esto es nuevo. A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather. ¿Qué coño? Esto es nuevo, es una nueva forma. Muchas hojas. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Voy a ir por la izquierda. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Voy a leerlo. How to solve disputer of the co-workers. De posible, no sé qué. Joder, maldito inglés. Que alguien me lo traduzca, porfa. Y aquí hay más. Esta es la hoja que se ve. No se aprecia, a ver. Free to play. Aquí, what do people want? ¿Dónde va la gente? Supongo. Es el Pi. Pi, hola. Ahí hay más texto. Lo típico, no borres la pifar. No entiendo inglés. Tomorrow. Complete today. Bueno, sigamos. Esto está abierto. No hay dinero. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Nah, no me apetece. No se puede ni saltar, pero sí se puede agachar. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. Pues muy bien. Ya he ido abajo cuando he jugado, voy a ir arriba. Y acaba el final. Un final extraño. Exclusive bathroom. Aquí está cerrado, una planta. Del Garry's Mod. Yo creo que está escondido la gente ahí. No, no se ha movido. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
¿Dónde sale el puntito ese?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
¿Qué? Esto está un poco así...
2845.
Que sí, pero ¿dónde lo pongo?
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
What the fuck? What is that? ¿Pero qué demonios? Ahí no hay nada. ¡Button! ¿Qué demonios? Vale, continuamos.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
¿Qué demonios?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Operaciones de control mental. ¿Qué cojones? Escape. ¿Por qué me hacen decidir? Nada, es control mental. Esto supongo que no. Nada. Pon ahí. Ajá. Habrá que llamarlo. Eso...
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
La última vez estaba ahí arriba.
What secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
¿No vamos a terminar el juego? ¿Qué pasa?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Luego hay paralelos por ahí. Por ahí. Aquí nada. Nada. Son todas las posibilidades, creo.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
¿Esto dónde lleva?
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
¿Qué significarán estos botones? ¿Qué hay aquí abajo? Vale. Un camino useless, como siempre. Joder, ¿cuántos botones? Un 3. ¿Cuál era el código? Creo que esto se debería abrir. Decidme por los comentarios cuál es el código y la próxima volvemos aquí. Ahí arriba también hay. Input.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Nah, no sé qué decidir. ¿Off? ¿Que ahora me saca del juego o qué pasa?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
¿Qué pasa?
Was it over? Yes. He had won.
¿A la primera que grabo? Madre mía, no puede ser.
From someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Exacto.
Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight
Que
streamed
baje
into
ya,
the
por
chimney,
Dios.
he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go.
Esto es como The Cube. Está la salida.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
No me lo creo, ¿verdad?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation,
Ya está, ya.
possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ya está. Me lo termino. ¿O es todo producto de la imaginación? Ay, no lo sé. Madre mía. Lo grabo y me termino el juego. Madre mía, hay que tener más suerte. Y como siempre, volvemos por aquí. Bueno, ya no hay hojas. Nos vemos en el siguiente capítulo. Y hasta ahora. O hasta el siguiente capítulo. Comentad. Y decirle el número, lo que la traducción es, si os aburrís demasiado como yo grabando este vídeo. Hasta la próxima.